When you're shifting to a higher level of consciousness, there's a lot of things that are going to start to shift in your life. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 3 huge signs that you're ascending to the 5th dimension. 3 huge signs that you're ascending to a higher level of consciousness. 3 huge signs that your consciousness is literally going through an upgrade and that you're ascending to what some people call the 5th dimension. So we're just going to get right into it. There's a lot of signs that I would love to share with you, but we're going to be talking about 3 of the biggest signs that I've come to realize in this video. So if you're new to this channel, what I want you to do is I want you to hit that subscribe button. I want you to hit that notification bell, because I do post a new video every single day. Also, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, hit the link that's in the description box of this video to apply for a free consultation. So what's the first huge sign that you're shifting to what some people call the 5th dimension? What's the first huge sign that you're ascending to the 5th dimension? The first huge sign is that you're not afraid of feeling into discomfort anymore. You're not afraid of accepting the challenges that come your way. Because maybe when you were living in the past, you were always fighting the challenges in your life, fighting the emotions, fighting and resisting how you feel. But maybe what's happening now is that with all the things happening in your life, with all the things happening in the world, maybe what's happening is you're learning to accept discomfort, to accept that you're not always gonna feel good in your life. And what this is doing is this is actually teaching you to find peace and feel good in the discomfort. If you're learning to find that gratitude, that unconditional gratitude, that peace, the allowing, the acceptance in the internal challenges and the external challenges, because you can't really separate the two at some point. To face something internally is sometimes can be the same thing to face something externally. Now, I'm not saying to not create boundaries with people that are negative, that have their own shadows, but if you're not afraid to face your own shadow, to face your own negativity, if you're not afraid, that's a huge sign that you're ascending to a higher level of consciousness, because actually what consciousness is about is finding more love, finding more peace, finding more joy. But the paradox is that sometimes what might need to happen in our life is that in order to find that love is to face some sort of discomfort. I'm going to tell you right now, the most peaceful moments of my life were not when I was comfortable in my body. The most powerful awakenings and meditations that I've ever had were not when I felt a little bit of discomfort in my body. That's not when I felt those awakenings. I felt those awakenings and I had the deepest levels of transformation when I was able to accept the darkness that came into my energy field, to feel into the discomfort. And it's not to say that you're supposed to be miserable, it's to accept the discomfort so that you can feel better after. Because if you want to feel better, but you're resisting the negativity, you're not allowing yourself to feel the negativity, heal the negativity, and let it go so you can get closer to your natural state of being, which is to feel peaceful. So if you're not fighting negativity anymore, if you're not fighting all the darkness that's coming up in your life within your energy field, again, not to say that you shouldn't create boundaries with other people that are projecting their own stuff onto you, but even if it's relationship issues, if it's you not being afraid to start a business, Maybe you're being fearless in your career. Maybe you're doing more meditations. Maybe you're starting to exercise more, or maybe you're not doing exercise. Whatever it is, you're learning to embrace more discomfort. And not only are you doing that, you're doing it with the intention of finding peace. If that is the case, you are definitely shifting to a higher level of consciousness and ascending to the fifth dimension, okay? So what's the second huge sign that you're shifting to the fifth dimension, ascending to the fifth dimension, totally in alignment with what I believe to be the new earth that is going to happen in this lifetime. Maybe not in this lifetime, but it's happening. And the earth is shifting and things are changing. The second sign is that you don't resist any feelings anymore. Because maybe you're realizing that actually to resist something is to keep that thing persisting in your reality. Maybe you're realizing that if you resist something, you persist something. If you're learning to accept your feelings, to observe them, to be aware of them, to allow them to be there, what you're doing is you're literally learning right now to become a light worker. What is a light worker? A light worker is to shine the light on the darkness and transmute that negative energy. Whether in meditation or just in my daily life, of course, the ultimate goal is to learn to embody these truths and these downloads that you're getting from the divine consciousness in your daily life. But whether you're learning in meditation or in your daily life, maybe you're starting to realize that when you accept the negative feeling, you start to release that resistance, and then that lack of resistance helps you to feel that love. There's been so many moments where I've been frustrated, where I had darkness, where I had negativity. And actually, when I'm with my consciousness, I'm not saying to be in the darkness unconsciously. I'm saying if you're not resisting feelings by observing them, and because you cannot resist your feelings but misinterpret that as being an egotistical maniac that is completely controlled by their emotions. I'm not saying to go out into the world and be projecting your anger onto people. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you're learning to not do that. You're learning to not let your emotions control you and take you over and do all these things that are not functional for you or anybody else, that's creating dysfunction and suffering for yourself and others. You're learning to be with your feelings, to be aware of your feelings, to not project them on people anymore, to not play victim, to not go out there and blame the external world for you not feeling good. You're learning to accept and feel and embrace and bring consciousness and awareness and mindfulness of these feelings, and you're literally learning to transmute that negative energy into love and positive energy. And when I say love, don't confuse that you're gonna feel good right away. Maybe later you'll feel good, but in that moment of acceptance, you might not feel so good, and you're learning to be okay with that. And then of course, later on, when you stop judging the low frequency, you end up getting to a higher frequency, but it doesn't start like that. If you're learning to accept that, you know what? Maybe I'm not gonna feel good. I'm just gonna accept this. That is you shifting your consciousness to a higher level. If you're learning to shift that negative energy and accept that you might not be positive for a little while, and you might have to sit with that negativity, you're shifting to the fifth dimension, okay? So the third huge sign that you're shifting to the fifth dimension, that you're ascending to the fifth dimension, is that actually you're learning to trust in your higher frequency energy. You're learning to take action from that higher frequency of being connected to an energy of fearlessness and non-resistance. You're learning to not only accept discomfort, not only learning to raise your frequency by allowing your emotions to be there and transmuting that negative energy into a more positive energy down the line, although of course, like I said, it might not be like that right away, but if you sit with it long enough, you'll start to be at a higher frequency, you'll feel it. Not only are you learning to do that, you're also learning to live and trust in that acceptance. You're letting your higher energy frequency guide your life. You're learning to be more fearless. You're learning to trust in what some people call your intuition. But it's not necessarily that you're trusting in a feeling. It is a feeling, but it's a feeling that comes from accepting that you might not feel so good, if that makes sense. It's like it's a paradox, because actually to feel good might be to accept not feeling good. And you're learning to trust in only the energy that comes from not resisting where you are, from accepting where you are, to allow what is to be, raise your frequency by accepting low frequency, and you're learning to trust in that. You're learning to not live from fear. If you're learning that actually taking action from fear and living from fear aligns with worse realities that literally might get you killed, I'm not saying it to put you into fear. I'm saying that if you're in a low frequency, if you're living in fear, if you're in resistance, yes, you are going to be more in alignment and have a higher probability of experiencing realities and timelines that might be in alignment with that fear. Now, don't take this to the extreme and say like, okay, if I have one fearful thought, then I'm gonna attract that reality. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that if your overall frequency is in fear and you're living from that space, yes, it is going to impact your life. But if you're learning to be more fearless and accept the fear, look at the fear in the eyes, allow it to be there, face it, raise your frequency, cleanse the fear, and then live in alignment with that fearless energy, you're shifting to the fifth dimension. Because actually, shifting to the fifth dimension is aligning with an energetic reality. It's an energetic, I'll never forget when I really saw with my consciousness, and I happened to be drinking alcohol that night. That was like years ago. I don't drink alcohol anymore. But I remember that something about the alcohol, for me personally, can't speak for everybody, I started to notice that it changed my thoughts, and that actually the energy and the frequency and the vibration that I was in was quite literally shifting my reality. I was aligning with a completely different reality. This was like a networking party with a lot of like people that I would have loved to connect with, but instead of connecting with people and changing my timeline and shifting into the reality that I wanted to manifest what I wanted, actually I was creating a reality out of fear. And that's when I realized that no longer am I going to let my low frequency change my actions. I'm going to align my frequency with the right energy and live from that space. If something has been happening in your life where you're realizing that, oh my God, if I'm in fear, I create fear. If I have fearful thoughts, I create fear. But if you let go of those fearful thoughts, if you accept fear, look at fear in the eyes, raise your frequency, and you realize that actually the reality you begin to experience completely shifts, that's a huge sign that you're shifting to the fifth dimension, that you're ascending in the fifth dimension. You're learning to raise your frequency. You're learning to be in alignment with a higher degree of consciousness, a higher level of consciousness. And so that's all I have for this video. If any of these signs resonated with you, I want you to hit that like button so more people can understand what's happening to them and how to get to those higher levels of peace. Also, if any of these signs resonated with you, leave a comment down below sharing what resonated with you or sharing any of your experiences, because of course, as always, I love to hear your stories and experiences, and everybody else would love to hear it as well. Okay, so that's all I have for this video. Once again, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, hit the link that's in the description box of this video to apply for a free consultation. As always, have yourself a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.